But let's talk about games, because you don't come to us to talk about the weather. I mean, if you do, you might want to
Video
see
games,
somebody.
I have a joke for you, or perhaps a riddle.
Is the joke Konami?
What is no? Well, I mean, the joke is Konami. The joke is always Konami.
Right.
But what does Kojima have to do with Abandoned, the video game coming out for the PS5?
Nothing?
Nothing. It has nothing to do with nothing. Exactly right.
Right.
Nothing.
Okay. Well, I'll give like the devil its due in a second. But just for anybody that might not know what we're talking about, I'll just explain up front first what the whole deal is with Abandoned. So back in April, there was this game announced. There was like a trailer released on the official PlayStation YouTube channel for a game called Abandoned. The entire trailer just featured like this voiceover from a woman, and you're just wandering through what looks like a procedurally generated forest from the Unreal Engine 4. And people speculated at the time, reminds me of Silent Hill. Maybe it has something to do with Silent Hill. But then those rumors quickly died off. But recently, as in the last week or so, I can't remember exactly what sparked this to happen, but there are these rumors that Abandoned might have something to do with Silent Hill started popping back up. And I'll explain to you why there was a conspiracy around this, and I will admit, and this is where I'm going to give the devil its due, I can understand why people would think, based on the little bit of information that we had, that there might be something here. I'll give you that information first, but then I will give you the information afterwards that not definitively, but mostly disproves Abandoned being whatsoever tied to Silent Hill. So first of all, here are the pieces of information that made us think, maybe there's something here. The game, Abandoned, is being developed by a man named Hassan Karaman. People thought that maybe this was an alias because the initials for Hassan Karaman are HK. Who else has those initials and has been tied to Silent Hill in the past? Well, that would be Hideo Kojima. He was going to do the Silent Hills plural game back in when it was announced in 2014 with the PT trailer. But then Konami decided to be a bunch of I can't swear on this show. Sorry. Yeah, just insert terrible thing here.
Very bad people.
Yes, very bad people, and we never got that game. And also, aside from the initials, apparently, when you translate Karaman from Turkish to Japanese, it translates into Kojima or Hideo. I can't remember which one. It's either one of the two. But I actually tried this using Google Translate, and it's legit. So those two pieces of information. Plus, this isn't the first time that Kojima has used a fake studio to promote one of his games. The studio that's supposedly working on Abandoned is called Blue Box Studios, and up until about a week ago, a lot of people just assumed that this was a fake studio, and the evidence they were citing is that, the logo for Blue Box Studios is very similar to the PlayStation Studios banner, and maybe that might be a little bit of a misdirect there. Also, apparently, the real name for the game Abandoned isn't going to be Abandoned. On Twitter, a little while ago, whoever operates the Twitter account said that the real name for the game actually begins with the letter S and ends with the letter L. Naturally, what a lot of people thought this pointed to is Silent Hill. So there's all that, and also apparently Blue Box Games is located in the Netherlands, and Kojima has ties to the Netherlands because the engine that he used for Death Stranding is the Decima engine, which is used by Guerrilla Games, who are located in the Netherlands. But that's about it. And there'll be people that point to one or two other things that say, maybe this suggests that it has something to do with Silent Hill. But I've looked at the rest of the evidence, and for the most part, it's pretty much just people looking too hard into things. But the evidence that I just cited for you is the most believable. Now, with all that said, it's pretty much confirmed. Like, I'd be willing to bet money that it has nothing to do with Silent Hill. And believe me, it breaks my heart to say that, but let's just run down everything that sort of points it in the other direction. On Twitter, the people at Blue Box Games released this statement. They said, "We wanted to set things straight," and I'm quoting here, "We have no relations with Konami. Silent Hill is owned by Konami. We do not have any relations with Hideo Kojima. It was never our intention to tease the name as Silent Hill. We sincerely apologize for this." And in echoing these sentiments, a couple of prominent games journalists have come out and said, yeah, no, it's pretty much guaranteed that this has nothing to do with Silent Hill. One of them is, Saib's BFF, Jason Schreier. He said it's pretty much not Silent Hill on Twitter. And Jeff Grubb, who
No,
we've
no, really? No, really. And a deep investigative journalist like Jason McSchreier can't figure out how to do a basic Google search and doesn't have people connected to this small indie studio?
Mm.
Oh, Lord, no. Could it be? Really?
Right.
Absolutely not.
In case you guys don't know, we don't really like Jason Schreier here.
No,
But
no, I especially don't like him. And I got to say that, I mean, again, this is one of these things that, so he's very confused about it, like reading his Twitter. He's very confused as to who this Hassan, I can't pronounce his last,
Karaman.
Karaman.
There you go.
There we go. He doesn't know who's his backers, all this kind of stuff. And I mean, it's not that hard to figure out. Like, it took me about 30 seconds. So, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, no. We've got it's an indie game by
Yeah.
a small indie studio that is backed by people who have interest in such things. And yeah, that's the great mystery. The it really is a scenario of like just too much like random speculation coming in on like weird timing and a bunch of other like random coincidences. Now, most of the time there is no such thing as coincidences. If a certain billionaire goes missing all of the sudden on the life planes, inside a prison, I mean, that's not really, I mean, there's very few coincidences that are there for that one. But sometimes things do happen. So in this case, it's the latter, not the former.
Yeah. And just one other thing to add on top of all this, aside from Jason Schreier, one person that actually does have a pretty decent track record in games journalism is a guy named Jeff Grubb. We've covered his scoops in the past, and he's been generally right about them. He's the one that said that Starfield was going to be an Xbox PC exclusive. And I mean, like, yeah, you could probably guess that. But anyways, he also did say that...
That was very easily guessable, by the way.
Right, but he also did say that we were going to get a Guardians of the Galaxy game before it was announced at E3. And he was right about that. Back in April, he wrote about Abandoned, and he himself said that it's not going to be a Hideo Kojima game. And look, you can surmise that this isn't a Silent Hill or a Hideo Kojima game based purely on reason. You don't need any of this backing information that I just listed for you. You can just surmise that it's not a Hideo Kojima game because of what happened between Konami and Kojima 6 years ago. That relationship is toast. It is scorched earth. There's no chance in hell that Konami would ever let Kojima anywhere near the Silent Hill property or the Metal Gear Solid property. Not only that, there's no chance they would ever license Silent Hill out to a studio that's an indie studio. It would have to be at least a mid-tier to high-tier studio that'd be willing to work on that game. And believe me, guys, yeah, go ahead.
There's a lot of bad blood there. I mean, it would go against basically everything. So, yeah.
It would be a literal miracle if Kojima was able to work on Silent Hill again. If he were to be announced to be working on Silent Hill, that would easily increase my lifespan by about 10 years. Because of just how much my body would feel revivified. It'd feel like I was born again. Trust me, guys, there's nobody that wants a Silent Hill game more than I do, especially one made by Kojima. But the only way you're ever going to get it is if you do one of two things or both things. One, stop playing games that are filled to the brim with microtransactions and stop paying for them. Because when you do that, it incentivizes the games industry to start putting their money towards single-player games. It's the exact same reason why we don't have a Splinter Cell game after all these years. Second, anytime anybody interacts with anything that has to do with Konami, be it Pro Evolution Soccer, be it a pachinko machine, you walk up to them and say, hey, F Konami, don't give your money to them. And those are the only two ways. Aside from that, it's pretty much guaranteed we will never, ever get another Silent Hill game unless they somehow license out the development of the games to another studio. But I don't see what the incentive is for them to do that. They already make enough money as it is.
Yeah, they also, like I said, they have really bad blood there. And these people hold on to people as in like the people who run Konami. The people who are in the head spots over there at that board, they are so angry with Kojima. They hate him so much that they would rather put these things in a vault and never let them see the light of day, even if it means saving their company.
Yep.
They will die before they let this get into the hands of the people who they believe disrespected them, essentially.
Yep. Konami would need to run out of money before they started selling the stuff off.
Yeah, before they give it to not, and it's not just him, it's any other studio, even in Japan. They just really are not interested in anybody else running with this because they believe that they have ultimate control over this IP. And again, it's like over my dead body. And unfortunately, they have the money to make that work. So
Just
that
talk.
IP is not getting out unless every single head on that board is retired and the company is basically split up and the assets are sold off. And then the assets are bought by another company that then need to be bought and sold and bought and sold again and again and again. It's like one of the great IPs I remember growing up with. Today finally came, I heard news of it today that the IP has finally come full circle back into the hands of the original creator
Oh, what's that?
after several years. I don't want to name it here on the thing,
Oh, okay.
but it's like after it was over a decade where this IP was thought to be completely lost,
Hmm.
completely changed from its original IP, its original story, is now finally in the hands, and we'll see what happens with that. So yeah, but things are very rarely that have that kind of happy ending. Most of the time, once an IP is gone, I mean, look at EverQuest. EverQuest's future content is sitting, and I'm not joking. It is sitting in a vault owned by a Russian hard asset company
Mm-hmm.
that's portfolio is full of gold, oil, copper, nickel, I think. It's like that's what they do. They're a mining company. And somehow they own EverQuest, the IP, and everything associated with what was going to be its future release. All the tech, all this amazing technology, story bricks, this amazing IP or not IP, this amazing technology that builds living worlds and allows you to have like the butterfly effect. Just really makes NPCs come alive and do things and have like some level of like interest and interaction there. All gone, sitting in a vault and in a physical vault, not allowed to be touched by anybody. Crazy.
Man, just talking about all this just makes me want to cry
Yep.
because people are like, hey, why haven't you talked about this? It's because anytime I talk about the state of both Silent Hill and Metal Gear, I just want to cry. Especially because on my YouTube channel, those are the two franchises that I'm most famous for talking about. They're absolutely brilliant franchises, and because Konami is run by a bunch of evil corporate. I can only talk about them for so long on my channel before, people just lose interest. I can only milk it for as long as I can without new content coming out. So that's one part of it. Anyways, good luck to Hassan Karaman with the Abandoned Project. Based on the stuff that I know about it, it sounds like a cool concept, like just trying to make it as realistic a survival simulator as you can. I look forward to maybe covering it if it happens to be any good in the coming years whenever it gets released.